Good evening, friends. Tonight I am going to read from Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And this is a really incredible work that she has put together. And I recommend any of her books are amazing. Here's another really good one. I Need Your Love. Is that really true? Is that true? Um, she has written some incredible stuff, but Loving What Is, I believe this was her first one, and it explains the process of what she calls inquiry and how it works. And I just want you to listen to what she has to say. This is some powerful stuff that you can do, and I have helped people with this and worked with people through this, and I do this. I did this for a while. I still do sometimes. The questions are invaluable. It's about questioning your thoughts. So, how to read this book? The purpose of this book is your happiness. The work has worked for thousands of people, and Loving What Is will show you exactly how to use it in your own life. You begin with the problems that irritate or depress you. The book will show you how to write them down in a form that is easy to investigate. Then it will introduce the 4 questions and show you how to apply them to your problems. At this point, you'll be able to see how the work can reveal solutions that are simple, radical, and life-changing. There are exercises that will teach you how to use the work with increasing depth and precision, and show you how it can function in every situation. After doing the work on the people in your life, you'll learn how to do it on the issues that cause you the most pain. Money, for example, illness, injustice, self-hatred, or the fear of death. You'll also learn how to recognize the underlying beliefs that hide reality from your eyes and how to work with the self-judgments that upset you. Throughout this book, there'll be examples of people doing the work. Okay, so a few basic principles. What I love about the work is that it allows you to go inside and find your own happiness, to experience what already exists within you, unchanging, immovable, ever present, ever waiting. No teacher is necessary. You are the teacher you've been waiting for. I said that to someone recently about myself. Like I became the therapist I had been looking for all my life. Interesting. You are the one who can end your own suffering. Amen to that. I often say, don't believe anything I say. I want you to discover what's true for you, not for me. Still, many people have found the following principles to be helpful for getting started in the work. Noticing when your thoughts argue with reality. This is her biggest thing. The only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is. When the mind is perfectly clear, what is what we want. If you want reality to be different than it is, you might as well try to teach a cat to bark. You can try, and in the end, the cat will look up at you and say, meow. Wanting reality to be different than it is hopeless. You can spend the rest of your life trying to teach a cat to bark. And yet, if you pay attention, you'll notice that you think thoughts like this dozens of times a day. People should be kinder. Children should be well behaved. My neighbors should take better care of their lawn. That line at the grocery store should move faster. My husband or wife should agree with me. I should be thinner or prettier or more successful. These thoughts are ways of wanting reality to be different than it is. If you think this sounds depressing, you're right. All the stress that we feel is caused by arguing with what is. After I woke up to reality in 1986, people often refer to me as the woman who made friends with the wind. Barstow is a desert town where the wind blows a lot of the time and everyone hated it. People even moved from there because they couldn't stand the wind. The reason I made friends with the wind, with reality, is that I discovered I didn't have a choice. I realized that it's insane to oppose it. When I argue with reality, I lose, but only 100% of the time. How do I know that the wind should blow? It's blowing. People new to the work often say to me, but it would be disempowering to stop my argument with reality. If I simply accept reality, I'll become passive. I may even lose my desire to act. I answer them with a question. Can you really know that's true? Which is more empowering? I wish I hadn't lost my job, or I lost my job. What can I do now? The work reveals what you think shouldn't have happened, should have happened. It should have happened because it did, and no thinking in the world can change it. This doesn't mean that you condone it or approve of it. It just means that you can see things without resistance and without the confusion of your inner struggle. No one wants their children to get sick. No one wants to be in a car accident. But when these things happen, how can it be helpful to mentally argue with them? It is not. We know better than to do that, yet we do it because we don't know how to stop. I am a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality. We can know that reality is good just as it is because when we argue with it, we experience tension and frustration. We don't feel natural or balanced. When we stop opposing reality, action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless. Staying in your own business. I like this part. I can only find 3 kinds of business in the universe: mine, yours, and God's. For me, the word God means reality. Reality is God because it rules. Anything that's out of my control, your control, and everyone else's control, I call that God's business. Much of our stress comes from mentally living out of our own business. When I think, you need to get a job, I want you to be happy, you should be on time, you need to take better care of yourself, I am in your business. When I'm worried about earthquakes, floods, war, or when I will die, I am in God's business. If I am mentally in your business or in God's business, the effect is separation. Good point. I noticed this early in 1986 when I mentally went into my mother's business, for example, with a thought like, my mother should understand me. I immediately experienced a feeling of loneliness. And I realized that every time in my life that I had felt hurt or lonely, I had been in someone else's business. If you are living your life and I am mentally living your life, who is here living mine? We're both over there. Being mentally in your business keeps me from being present in my own. I am separate from myself, wondering why my life doesn't work. To think that I know what's best for anyone else is to be out of my business. Excuse me. Even in the name of love, it is pure arrogance, and the result is tension, anxiety, and fear. Do I know what's right for me? That is only my business. Let me work with that before I try to solve your problems for you. If you understand the 3 kinds of business enough to stay in your own business, it could free your life in a way that you can't even imagine. The next time you're feeling stress or discomfort, ask yourself whose business you're in mentally, and you may burst out laughing. That question can bring you back to yourself, and you may come to see that you've never really been present, that you've been mentally living in other people's business all your life. Just to notice that you're in someone else's business can bring you back to your own wonderful self. And if you practice it for a while, you may come to see that you don't have any business either, and that your life runs perfectly well on its own. Isn't that interesting? She goes on to talk about meeting your thoughts with understanding. A thought is harmless unless we believe it. It's not our thoughts, but the attachment to our thoughts that causes suffering. Attaching to a thought means believing that it's true without inquiring. A belief is a thought that we've been attached to, often for years. Many people think they are what their thoughts tell them they are. One day I noticed I wasn't breathing. I was being breathed. Then I also noticed, to my amazement, I wasn't thinking, that I was actually being thought, and that thinking isn't personal. Do you wake up in the morning and say to yourself, I think I won't think today? It's too late. You're already thinking. Thoughts just appear. They come out of nothing and go back to nothing, like clouds moving across the empty sky. They come to pass, not to stay. There is no harm in them until we attach to them as if they were true. Yes. Oh my goodness, I tell so many people that. No one has ever been able to control their thinking, though people may tell me the story of how they have. I don't let go of my thoughts. I meet them with understanding. Then they let go of me. Oh, that's so important. Side note, that is self-compassion. That's what she's talking about. She doesn't call it that. But meeting thoughts with understanding, meeting yourself with understanding, that is self-compassion. Thoughts are like the breeze or the leaves on the trees or the raindrops falling. They appear like that, and through inquiry, we can make friends with them. Would you argue with a raindrop? Raindrops aren't personal, and neither are thoughts. Once a painful concept is met with understanding, the next time it appears, you may find it interesting. What used to be the nightmare is now just interesting. The next time it appears, you may find it to be funny. The next time you may not even notice it. That is the power of loving what is. She talks about becoming aware of your stories, the stories we tell ourselves, and looking for the thought behind the suffering. So, With inquiry, it's synonymous with the work for her. To inquiry is to investigate, to question the experience, and then turn it around. So, just real quick, the questions are number one, is it true? So, if your statement is, my spouse should be nice to me. I don't know. My spouse should listen to. Oh, there's a good one. My spouse should listen to me. Number one, is it true? Number two, can you absolutely know it's true? Because sometimes we go, yes, it's true. My spouse should listen to me. So can you absolutely know it's true? No. But this is an internal process we go within. Number three, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? When we believe my spouse should listen and they're not listening, what happens to us? And then you go into, I get angry, I get sad, my body tightens up, go through thoughts, feelings, and body reaction. Number four, who would I be without this thought? When I was first doing inquiry, number four was always really powerful. And number four was inevitably, I could be happy. Like, I could be relaxed. I could have some peace in my life if I didn't believe this, that somebody should act like they're not acting. And then the turnaround. So you find some ways in which the turnaround of your original false statement is true in your life. So when she goes through this with people, I've seen her work. It's very gentle. It's very kind. You ask yourself these questions, and it's all about finding peace within. It's all about finding answers within. So again, Byron Katie. She has an amazing personal story. Check her out. Check her stuff out. I use the work a lot in my work, and for myself, it's really good stuff. Hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you next time.